there's going to be some junk and some crud that comes with personality differences. And you're going to have some heated conversations where things are, this person doesn't exactly agree with everything. That's just a process for really refining your organization and giving you the capacity to bring something to scale. If everybody thinks like you're going to stay at the same place until you get that variety of opinion, that variety of insight, that variety of expertise that comes from different personalities. Your organization is going to stay where it is.
Welcome to the Growability Podcast, where we equip leaders and entrepreneurs to grow effective and generous organizations. I am your co-host, Bernie Anderson, and I am here today along with the founder of Growability, Joshua McLeod. Joshua, tell us what our topic is today.
If you listen to this show a lot, you know that we're Growability. We're the organization that helps people grow effective and generous organizations. Today, we're going to talk about the 6 fundamentals for scaling any nonprofit or business. So today's episode is really important, and I'm excited about what we've prepared.
Yeah, so am I, Joshua. That sounds great. So who is this episode geared for? Who's going to benefit the most from hearing this today?
Well, Bernie, we have lots of different types of clients. If I were to put our clients into different categories, there's like 3 different categories that our clients would represent. One is a business owner or a nonprofit that is ready to fail.
Ooh.
Things aren't exactly working out. Another is a startup, an organization that is ready to sail. But then the third target client and the type of customers that we typically work with is an organization that is ready to scale. These are people who have figured it out, but they're working on one level and then they want to take it to the next level. We're a $1 million organization. We'd like to become a $10 million organization. So this episode is primarily for those organizations that are ready to scale. And that's where our company is named Growability, because we're designed for organizations like that. But it will have some benefit for those organizations who are ready to sail or even ready to fail.
Great. Okay. Well, let's just jump right into it then, Joshua. The 6 fundamentals. What is the first one?
Bernie, the first fundamental for an organization that wants to scale, that wants to bring their organization to their full potential, is to clarify vision. When somebody starts a business or when somebody starts a nonprofit organization, that person is typically known as a visionary. A visionary is someone who looks out into the future and they see the potential of what can become, and then they build an organization to make that potential a reality. The visionary, they see something that's out in the future that the rest of us can't really see. Like if you think about an acorn, well, when I look at that acorn, I know that, hey, that acorn has the potential to become an oak tree. But I'm not looking at the oak tree. I'm looking at the acorn. It's so critical for a leader of an organization to be able to define and describe what is it that this organization is going to become. Leaders that don't have a clarified vision won't be able to recruit a qualified team. When you build a team for your organization, what you're trying to do is actually put people on your team that have more qualifications than you need right now. You're trying to bring somebody into your team that's an oak tree team member, not just an acorn team member. If I can't bring a qualified team together, I'll never be able to bring an organization to scale. Every leader, no matter how capable, is limited. There's only so much time. Being able to recruit people and keep them engaged in your organization is really fundamental. And vision is critical to keep people engaged. One of the things that I have just come to fully believe is that humans are designed for purpose. And it's so sad. There's so many businesses that are out there and they have just settled for profit. And profit is not bad. Profit is good, but profit is a cheap substitute for purpose. Purpose is so much more than profitability. A visionary is moving out of just kind of like the profit mindset of, I'm going to go make more money than I make right now, so I'm going to start a business or I'm going to run a nonprofit organization. Profit is limited, but purpose is unlimited. Profit has kind of like a ceiling of energy, but a purpose-driven organization allows the leader and the team to put in like really everything they've got when they really believe in the vision of this company. So what you'll see in organizations that scale, there's ceilings that you reach in an organization where I need to do something different to get to that next level. Clarified vision is the first fundamental to start that organization and prep that organization to scale. Why doesn't everybody have a clarified vision? Because creating a clarified vision is difficult. When you're an entrepreneur, your options increase exponentially. You make more money, you have more connections, you have more freedom with your schedule. And so clarifying vision is critical. That doesn't make it easy. So the first fundamental, if you want to scale your organization, is to clarify vision.
Yeah. Vision is absolutely so critical. So Joshua, what I'm hearing you say is this: a clarified vision helps to synergize your team and gives everyone a reason to bring their best every day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's a proverb in Proverbs 29:18. It says, where there is no vision, people perish, but happy are they that keep the law. Like, if you know where this thing is going, you can kind of push through the agony of boredom or hard or whatever it is that you're facing.
Right.
But if you don't have any vision, the leader runs out of energy, the team runs out of energy. Nobody can keep going if they don't really believe in the purpose of the organization.
Yeah. Well, clarifying vision is the first fundamental. So what is the second fundamental to scale a business or a nonprofit organization?
Bernie, the second fundamental for scaling an organization, for reaching your full potential, is to prioritize your customer. So if we continue the analogy with like that vision is like the acorn that has the potential to grow the oak tree, your customer is like the soil where that vision can find reality. Somehow people think that you can start a business when you have a really great idea. But when the point at which you actually start a business is, Bernie?
When is that?
It's the point where you have a paying customer. When you have a paying customer, you have a business. The difference, though, one of the huge differences in organizations that scale and organizations that just kind of plateau and maintain for a long time is organizations that scale start to fundamentally think and understand their target customer. I say this to almost every entrepreneur that I meet. You are not your target customer. The way that you see the world is not the way that your customer is going to see the world. You have a vested interest in getting paid. The customer only has the vested interest in receiving value from your product or service. Bernie, customers know what they want.
Yeah.
I've raised lots of children, and one of the stages of child development is that 2-year-old stage where they always want something that is not the same thing that you want for them. Like, hey, honey, do you want to eat this spinach? And they're like, apple or ice cream, or they're always pointing at the other thing.
Cake.
Yeah, you've got to think of your customer. They're the one pointing for what they want. They know what they want. Figuring out what your customer wants and then building an organization that is fundamentally bent towards providing that value to the customer is a critical second step. It's the second fundamental for creating an organization that scales.
So good. So really, Joshua, what I'm hearing you say is that until your entire company is centered around providing customer value, you're never going to reach your full potential.
That's exactly right. That's what a business is. Until you get out of your own head, the mindset of the entrepreneur thinking they know everything, and into the mindset of the customer, you're never going to scale.
Well, that's the second fundamental is providing value for the customer. So what is the third fundamental for scaling a business or a nonprofit?
Bernie, the third fundamental for bringing an organization to scale is to empower teamwork. If my vision is like the acorn and my customer base is like the soil, my team is like the water that I pour on to that soil. It's like the sunlight that actually helps this thing to grow. I love the acronym, TEAM, together each achieves more. Every person that comes into your organization adds an exponential value to the potential of your organization. When you add a single team member, you are creating a multiplied benefit and result, because TEAM, together each achieves more. One of the differentiators, Bernie, between organizations that scale and organizations that plateau is that organizations that scale get over their personality differences. They stop trying to build organizations where everybody in the organization is exactly like me. The first 5 people that most entrepreneurs hire is the mirror copy of themselves. They get down in an interview and they're like, oh, you like cotton candy? I like cotton candy. Oh, you did this? Oh, I need to hire. You must be a great person because you're exactly like me. And then that organization doesn't have any balance. They have the same problems that you have, all of these people have. Organizations that scale, they actually see those differences in personality as a value add, as a benefit. I was surprised when I started working with high power teams, like high power executives on teams, of how much sort of constructive tension there was in the room. If you think about how do I make really fine gold, the way that I make really fine gold is I heat it up really, really hot. And then all of the stuff that's just kind of like the junk and the crud comes up to the top and you scrape it off. And then I'm left with a much more refined gold. There's going to be some junk and some crud that comes with personality differences. And you're going to have some heated conversations where things are, this person doesn't exactly agree with everything. That's just a process for really refining your organization and giving you the capacity to bring something to scale. If everybody thinks like you're going to stay at the same place until you get that variety of opinion, that variety of insight, that variety of expertise that comes from different personalities. Your organization is going to stay where it is. Now, a second thing about empowering teams is organizations that scale become very focused on strengths. They're not just focused on personalities. They're not just focused on how do I overcome my weaknesses. Organizations that scale maximize strengths. One of the statistics that I learned in studying the Strength Finder test is that 90% of Fortune 500 companies use strengths. So 90% of Fortune 500 companies are focused on strengths of individuals. Yeah. You've heard of the 80-20 rule. In most businesses, your team members spend 80% of their time doing something that they're not that good at. And what that translates to is that in most businesses, 20% of activities produce 80% of results. So when you look at your organization, if you can figure out how can I leverage the strengths of every different member of my team, then I can flip that 80-20 rule. I can make it so that 80% of the effort that is being accomplished by my team is being accomplished by someone's strength instead of their weakness in trying to figure this out. The role of teamwork is to maximize everyone's strengths and to make the weaknesses irrelevant. Everybody has weaknesses, but I'm not going to throw the ball to this person when that's their weakness. And sometimes you might have to help somebody move on to another organization, not because they're not a great individual and have a great strength, but you already have 5 people that are good at that strength. If I have a football team and I've got like 9 great running backs and no receivers, hey, I got to get some receivers. I've got to look at that balance in the organization. Teamwork is like vision. It's not easy. It takes work. And your team isn't going to be empowered if there's not enough focus made on actual teamwork. Organizations that scale are super intentional about the company party and the break room and the interactions and how you do your meetings and the vision boards and knowing the families of your team and understanding the strength. Like, teamwork takes a lot of work, but organizations that scale, they realize, hey, people are going to be different than me. That's okay. People are going to have different strengths than me. That's fantastic. And teamwork is something we need to invest in as an organization. Organizations that do that, they don't plateau. They reach their full potential. They grow and they scale.
Yeah, so good. So, well, Joshua, what I'm hearing you say then about teamwork is this: that diversity of strength and personality aren't just like add-ons.
Yeah.
They're critical ingredients for scaling your organization.
Fundamentally critical. Teamwork makes the dream work. You don't have to have a ton of superstars as long as you have a team that works together. Like, any high school basketball team is going to beat a single NBA player, because business is a team sport. Business is not golf, it's basketball.
Yeah, an empowered team is so powerful. I mean, it's just powerful. Well, okay, so fundamental number one is clarifying vision. If you want to scale, you're going to clarify vision. Number 2, if you want to scale, you're going to prioritize customers. Number 3, you're going to empower teamwork. What's the 4th fundamental to scale a business or a nonprofit organization?
Bernie, the 4th fundamental for scaling a business is to automate sales. Automating sales is like the root system of the tree. How do all of these roots get out into the market, into my customer base, and bring value and nutrient back to the tree? So seed is your vision, soil is your customer, water is your team, sales is your root system. If I don't have any roots, that tree isn't going to survive. If I don't have a system to get our message, our brand, our customer, our value out into the market, then our organization's not going to be able to scale. If you're going to overcome the ceiling of your organization, you're going to have to reach out to people that you have never talked to before. One of the first limiters in business, one of the first limiters of business is that it's the limitation of word of mouth. You only know so many people. Your team only knows so many people. So if your organization is going to scale, you have to move past word of mouth and you have to develop a sales system that connects with people that you've never met before. Now, this is where so many leaders fail. And do you know why they fail? Because this is really hard. It's hard.
Okay, fair.
For the majority of the populace, sales is just annoying. Sales has become like connected with like, you're a salesperson. Like, what do? I sell. Ew, you sell? You must be evil, In the mindset of people, they've thrown the baby out with the bathwater, and the bathwater is those salespeople that are not really salespeople; they're manipulators. If you want to experience what most people think about sales, then just go to one of these timeshare presentations. Hey, we're going to give you a free weekend getaway. Go and listen to our sales thing. That's not a sales thing. That's a manipulation fest where they're going to wear you down and to get out of this uncomfortable situation, I'm going to sign the dotted line. What businesses that scale, the way that businesses that scale and reach their full potential see sales is they see sales as a noble endeavor. Sales can be and should be generous. Sales can be and should be servant-hearted. When you sell, you are adding value to somebody's life. When you sell, you're helping someone overcome a problem. When you sell, you are reaching out to a community. You're introducing yourself to other people. Organizations that scale stop seeing sales as a necessary evil, and they start seeing it as a positive, necessary good. Sales is good. Another thing about sales that is really critical is that sales has to be consistent. You can't consistently reap what you don't consistently sow, and you can't consistently reap growth in your organization if you are not consistently sowing sales. Sales should be the first thing in the organization that you figure out how to automate. When you are building a sales funnel, you are trying to bring in 10 times more customers than you can actually serve. And that's not a bad thing, because when those customers come in, you'll figure out how to serve them. You might have to spend all of the money that you bring in to figure out how to serve them, and then only grow that much bigger. But automation of sales is fundamentally critical. Now, we use a tool at Growability to build any good habit. We call it Power Habits. So the P stands for prompted. Your sales has to be prompted. The O is obvious. Your talking points have to be obvious. Your format that you use has to be obvious. The W is for why power. I don't just want to do it because the boss told me to. I have to want that. I want that. Like my son Caleb said, I want that like a country girl wants to sing on a stage. If you want sales, you got to want that. The E is prompted, obvious, worthwhile. The E is easy. Hey, sales team, we got you this great sales tool. You're going to love it. It adds 6 hours to every day filling out checkboxes and paperwork that you don't want to do. That's not going to work. If it's easy, they'll do it. And then the R is rewarded. Hey, the people that are out there doing the noble work of sales should get a kickback for everything they're doing. So sales has to be automated. Companies that scale don't see sales as a necessary evil. Companies that scale see sales as the first thing you want to automate in your business.
Yeah. That's so good. So what I hear you saying, Joshua, is you can't scale a business without consistent sales. And to become consistent, you've got to build a system for automation.
Yeah. People aren't going to do anything that's not easy, and they don't have motivation for it. Just realize that. People aren't going to do things that aren't easy, and you don't have motivation for them.
Yeah. No, that's so good. And as someone who has in the past had that mindset of sales is icky, like realizing the generosity that can be there and the beauty that can be a part of being in sales. I mean, I just think that's super powerful.
Yeah, it's community development.
It's community development. Yeah, that's right. That's so true. Well, let's move on. We've got 6. We don't have just 4. We have 6 fundamentals. Yeah. So let's go to the 5th one. What is the 5th fundamental for scaling a business or a nonprofit organization?
Bernie, the 5th fundamental for scaling a business or nonprofit organization is to implement strategy. Now, there's 2 important words there. One is implement, and the other is strategy.
Okay.
As I've worked with so many business leaders, some are really good at implement. You tell me what to do, and I'm going to do it. Just tell me what to do. I'm going to go. I'm going to implement. I'm going to drive. You got to sell? No problem. I'll go sell. Here we go. There's others that are strategy. Wait, do we have a backup plan for our backup plan? This is how, what are we going to do? In 3 years, we're going to be here. And in 2 years, we're going to be here. And in 20 years, we're going to be there. To scale an organization, you don't just implement, you don't just have strategy, you implement strategy. You combine these things. With the analogy of growing a tree, implementing strategy is like having a trunk and branches. If there's no trunk, this thing is just going to flop all over the place. The trunk, and that trunk is like the things that you spend your budget. That's the trunk. It adds structure to the organization. It's your business plan. Right. This is the trunk. It adds structure. The branches. How are we going to expand? What does expansion look like? One of the key necessities in strategy is to synergize the balance between leadership, management, and marketing. And this is really one of the reasons why I've started Growability in the first place, is I couldn't find an operating system, a business operating system on the market. I couldn't find the right books that talk about how do I balance all of these things in a strategy. So leadership is primarily about doing the right things. Are we headed the right direction? Are we capitalizing on the market? Are we adding value to the customer? Are we branding correctly? How am I doing the right things? Management is primarily about doing things right. Why should we take an hour to do this thing that we can do in 10 minutes? Why should we hire 6 people to do this when we can do it with 3 people if we have the right tools? You have doing the right things, doing things right. Marketing is that continual automation of telling the story of what you're doing. If nobody knows that we exist, we don't exist. Our business isn't going to be there if we're not out there telling the story. So what a strategy does is a strategy makes sure that you are doing the proper thing in each one of these areas. We have the right leadership, we have the right management, we have the right marketing. Another thing about strategy, Bernie, is that without strategy, you can't measure, and without measurement, you can't improve. That's a Drucker quote. You can't improve what you don't measure. A strategy holds you accountable to make sure that you're not just dreaming, that you're actually building a business and growing.
Yeah, no, that's so good. So what you're saying then is that vision, the first fundamental, vision without strategy and implementation is just pie in the sky. So strategy and implementation actually are the things that help you scale.
Yeah. Your business isn't the result of your dreams and visions and ideas. Your business is the result of what you actually sow. It's your strategy and your implementation. Now, you can't have that strategy and implementation without vision, because your strategy and implementation are towards that vision. But if you stop at vision, that's like a sail without the boat. It's just going to fly all over the place. I've got what strategy does is it takes that sail and connects it to the boat so that whole thing is moving forward.
I love it. Well, we have one more fundamental. What our final fundamental? What is the 6th fundamental for scaling a business or a nonprofit organization?
Bernie, the last and perhaps the most important fundamental for scaling an organization is to equip managers. There's a saying that great leaders create followers, but really great leaders create new leaders.
Yeah.
Managers in organizations they're the secret sauce. They are the people that make all of the difference, because they are the people who empower and strengthen your team. Every employee, including the leader of the team, has 3 questions in the back of their mind. The first question is, what's in this for me? What's the vision of the organization? How much do I get paid? How does this align with my life goals? What's in this for me?
Yeah.
The second is, what's expected of me? Like, what are my hours? What are my responsibilities? What are my roles? What am I supposed to do? And the third is, where do I stand? What is our relational value in this equation like? Am I appreciated? Do I like this work? Do other people like this? What a manager does is a manager is able to answer all 3 of those questions consistently and with care. This is what's in it for you. This is what's expected of you, and this is where we stand. Organizations that scale, they have the company handbook. They have the step list and the checklist for everything that their team member is going to do. They have the HR policy. Hey, this is what's in it for you. This is your vacation days. This is your bonuses. This is, they take the time to actually create all of those things so that your team knows that they are part of a really growing and healthy organization. Some of the biggest regrets I have as somebody who has started several organizations and grown several organizations, is I've lost some of the best team players ever to better organizations. Why were they better? Because they were better for that team member. They provided more incentive. They provided more clarity. They provided more feedback. Organizations that scale don't fail on those things. They are really, really good at empowering the managers to serve the team. And there's one more thing about this. I think that the most effective teams are teams that are the most unafraid, because whereas fear is a motivator, it's a really crappy motivator. Love is a much better motivator. If your team knows that they're loved and cared for and appreciated, they're going to be so much more creative and so much more effective. You can't scale fear. You can scale love infinitely. Organizations that scale do not tolerate managers who create fear. If your manager creates fear in that organization, that manager is limiting the potential for your organizational growth. Your job as a manager is to make new leaders. It's to empower your team, not to smack them with a roller.
So good. So actually, just to summarize this, Joshua, what I'm hearing you say is that for organizations that scale, the quality of the managers should be measured not just in performance, but also in empowerment.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That you couldn't have said it better. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Wow. This is so good. Well, we have 6 fundamentals: clarify vision, prioritize customers, empower teamwork, automate sales, implement strategy, and equip managers. Joshua, there's just something about that's strangely familiar. These 6 fundamentals. Where have I heard this before? Why is this so familiar to me?
Bernie, it's almost like we spent the last 12 years developing these 6 fundamentals and then created an entire program to help organizations implement them at their business. You called it. What do you know? Yeah. So these are the 6 fundamentals of the Growability Toolkit. And these are things that have been carefully studied with more than 15,000 hours of study in hundreds of business books and thousands of hours of working with clients. I didn't pull these out of a hat. These are actually things that help organizations scale. And I've seen organizations double, triple by using the model, by implementing these 6 fundamentals. And so we built that Growability Toolkit so that we could help people implement and roll these out in your business.
Yeah. Yeah. So if someone wants to do just that, Joshua, they want to start crushing every one of these 6 fundamentals, what would be their next step?
First step is to visit growability.com and click on a link and send us an email, get in touch. There's lots of resources, other podcasts, lots of blogs and things like that. So I would say the first step is just check out growability.com.
Awesome. Well, Joshua, we've gone a little over time today, but this has been really important stuff. I'm so glad we had a chance to talk about it. Do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, Bernie, we started today talking about organizations that are ready to fail, organizations that are ready to sail, and then organizations that are ready to scale. If you're an organization that is ready to fail, don't give up. There are just far too many stories of people who almost gave up, stuck with it, saw it through, and saw that thing grow to just exponential growth. But also, don't try to do that alone. Don't just let your organization fail because you were too stubborn or proud to reach out and get help from somebody. You're only hurting yourself. Reach out to somebody and get help. If you're about to sail, if you're going to start an organization, don't pay stupid tax. Don't just have to learn everything yourself. Learn from other people. Read 100 good business books. Listen to the Growability podcast. But if you are an organization that is ready to scale, if you're like, you know what, I want to overcome my ceiling and I want to get this thing to the next level and I want to multiply, what are you waiting for? Call Growability. This is what we're designed to do. We would love to work with you and help.
So good. So good. Well, Joshua, with that, we want to remind everyone that you are doing better than you think and you have more potential than you know. Thank you for growing with Growability. Be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channels and share with other people you really like. We will see you next week.
We'll see you next week.